Welcome to the Bucher and Friends podcast, co-starring 10-year NFL veteran and Super Bowl champion, Will Blackman.
Manning from the end zone. He throws, and a deflect away, and it is picked off by Will Blackman, the former Giant.
Tim Dwight watches it hit, bounces, picks it up at the 10, slips a defender, fumbles the football, it's up for grabs, it's covered in the end zone by Will Blackman for a Green Bay touchdown!
And now, here is your host,
Let's send it over to Ric Bucher.
Ric Bucher.
Welcome to another episode of Bucher and Blackman, subsidiary of Bucher and Friends on the United WeCast Network. I'm Ric Bucher. You can see me on FS1. You can follow me on Twitter at Ric Bucher. You can read my stuff on Bleacher Report. He is Will Blackman. You can see him on the NFL Network, and you can follow him on Twitter at Will Blackman. And you can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Bucher Friends. All right. So, Will, there's a couple of things I wanted to get into, and one of them was a little bit more about Tiger, because when we were talking to Charles about that, I kind of wanted to give him the floor and get his thoughts on what Tiger did. I never thought that I'd see Tiger win a major or win a major in this fashion. I thought I'd see him win tournaments. I didn't know that I'd see him come all the way back mentally and physically. And so that's the thing for me. And I wonder, is he more popular? Has he added somehow to his legacy by going through all that he went through and coming back? Even if he doesn't come close to, surpassing Nicklaus in terms of all-time majors, I feel like he did something that I don't know that anybody else could have done, to be able to come back and to do what he did.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, golf is better when Tiger is playing.
100%. So,
Okay.
I didn't see a lot of the tournament because I was at my son had a basketball tournament, and I was there, and I was the good dad.
You were the good, disciplined dad who paid attention to his son.
Exactly.
I like that.
All the other dads were clustered around a phone watching the Masters. And I take this away from it. Like, the number of people that I've seen who've just been talking about golf and the Masters. It's amazing. And it's because of Tiger. I don't see that same conversation. And I wonder, for you, Will, like, what would you attribute that to? Why is there such a fascination? Because we've seen Jordan Spieth has done some amazing things.
Brooks Koepka has done amazing things.
Amazing things. We've seen guys at various times. Dustin Johnson look dominating, but they don't capture the imagination the way Tiger does.
Well, you know what? I think I look at it when watching basketball when Jordan was there. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was just untouchable. He was different. He changed the entire culture of the game. Yeah. Same thing for music. Well, Michael Jackson changed the entire culture of music. Everyone just looked at it differently, and that's how it is for golf.
Yeah.
When he came in, a young, fiery, kid in there, just having these crazy numbers, changing it. You're supposed to be quiet when you make a putt.
Yes.
And then him doing the fist pump, yelling, screaming,
yes,
and getting the crowd to do that. You think you're watching, darts in Germany. That's a crazy event, by the way.
Darts in Germany?
I'm telling you, the darts championship is the most wild event you will ever see.
Where did you see darts in Germany?
I was watching it on TV, and I was like, why is the crowd going crazy? And it was darts.
On what? On Sky Sports?
I think, Sky Sports. Yeah, exactly. Darts. Same thing though. Think about it though.
Were you channel surfing, or did you look? Did you look up? I'm going to see a good darts game right now. I wonder if anything's on.
So the two things that I just randomly watch.
Yeah.
I watched the Johnsonville Cornhole Championships.
Oh no.
And then I watched darts. Guilty pleasures. There you go.
Guilty pleasures. Wow.
Yeah.
Cornhole and darts.
Yeah, but what's crazy. Let's go back to Tiger. His effect, not only I mean, you can tell these guys looked up to him and his effect because there was a part, I think it was hole 16, where Koepka was gonna he was gonna hit off the tee, and right before he hit off the tee, he heard this loud roar, and he put his club down and looked to see what was going on, and it was a roar for Tiger, of course.
Yeah.
And after not only that, but then every time somebody was being interviewed, this is a chance to talk about themselves. They were talking about they can hear the roar for Tiger, they can see the scoreboard change with Tiger, they can see everything that's going on about Tiger, and it's never, ever about them.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. It's like they wanted to play their game, but they really wanted to see, is this guy going to come back and finally win?
Yeah, and indeed he has. But here's the thing. When you make the Jordan comparison, I get it when Tiger was dominating and changing everything about how we thought the sport was played. He looked different. I get that part. It was even when he hasn't been playing well. I mean, today, or Sunday rather, he played. He finally closed the deal. He finally won a major. But there was this fervent hope, even when he wasn't old Tiger. And I don't even know if this is old Tiger. I mean, Tiger, I've said it, like people expecting Tiger to become the Tiger of old. He not only dominated, but it's a little bit like Charles said, he didn't have just one good Sunday. Like, he had an entire season of good Sundays. He just, right. It seemed like every major, he was in the hunt and he was chasing people down and he was closing it out on a Sunday. I mean, for people who have said over the last year, like, Tiger's back, I'm like, no, he's not. You're not doing justice to what he was when he was at his best. Now, he may be back as far as he's competitive again, but that Tiger was on another planet from everybody else. But all that said, like, seeing him compete again, people gravitated toward the game of golf. Do you think it's because they were hoping to see some of the old Tiger, or because, I don't know, in some ways, like, I like this Tiger better. He's more human. He's like, we've seen him go through stuff that we all go through, right? I mean, before he didn't, he kept everybody at arm's length, and he was hard to identify with as far as what he was doing or who he was. He didn't let you in, and now we've been let in. I don't think he meant us to be let in, but we know how human he is, and for me, it's actually made him easier to root for because of all that he's been through.
Well, this is what's weird. This is not the norm. You do not, especially in our country in sports, you do not root for a guy who has been exposed to all that stuff, who had issues with his marriage, who dealt with all this crazy stuff in Vegas, whatever you're going through.
Issues with his marriage is putting it lightly.
Because I didn't want to get into
that
details.
Dude was, man, he was getting busy.
Listen, yeah, okay, we know that. But usually people take that and you don't want to see them come back. You don't want to see them succeed. So that's why I was like, this is unique. This is different. This is the norm. And you saw everybody truly is like, okay, we see everything. We've seen everything he's gone through, emotionally and physically. And for him to still come back and get that done. And it's funny because when he went through that, people were like, how can Tiger ever come back from that and win the hearts of people? And it was the simple answer was he just needs to win. And if he wins, everybody's going to forget about all that stuff, which is crazy. So I thought it was cool. I once again, I think hands down that is one of, if not the greatest comeback story, because, to go through that stuff, first the emotional part in terms of his relationships and what he went through and all that, and being publicly exposed and having to apologize and all that stuff, all the embarrassment. Not many people come back from that. They just go into hiding, and it's like, I don't want any parts of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the game of golf needed him, and he knew that. He knows what he does for the game.
But this is what's even winning another Masters is so powerful, because I will never forget the mugshot of him after he was pulled over when he was, I don't know, he was on painkillers, he was on a variety of stuff, and they brought him in, and he had the mugshot taken, and he was just completely out of it. And I think about the original view of Tiger, and I was living in San Diego when he was a kid, and I saw Eldrick, I saw Tiger Woods as a kid, and he just won all of the Muni events. To see that kid, and then to see him rise to the red shirt and the fist pump on Sundays, to the, imagining Elin taking a driver to his car and the mugshot, and then you come full circle and there he is at the Masters putting the green jacket on again. That to me that's a life story, and that's a success story.
Right.
Experiencing it all, going down to the depths. I mean, what a fantastic, I hate to say it's a fantastic story, but it's a fantastic story just in terms of following the drama of somebody going all the way to the top, seemingly going all the way to the bottom, and then rising all the way back to the top again. It just, as you said, it's not supposed to happen. That's not, only are you not supposed to root for them, it's not supposed to happen.
At all.
Yeah.
And that's why it's such an incredible feat. Because, let's forget whatever he did, with his relationships, whatever, but just physically having all those surgeries, you just can't figure out to be yourself. For him to take 11 years, 11 years it took him to finally win another one like that, a major?
That's crazy.
11 years, It's so difficult because guys will find many reasons to spiral the wrong way. Yeah. And to truly suffer and feel. I seen a guy with an ACL ruin his life.
Well, and I just saw Gilbert Arenas I just saw a clip of him talking with a couple other guys, Channing Frye and Nick Young and Richard Jefferson. And they were talking with Allie Clifton, who I believe is still with the Cavs, and they were talking about retirement. They were joking with Nick Young because they asked him if he was retired. He goes, I don't know. And Gilbert goes, you're retired, you just don't know it. Gilbert Arenas said, I had $66 million in the bank. Like, it was hard for me to get up off that couch. Like, he no longer had that motivation. Tiger was at a point where he's got his family, he's got young kids, he's been to the top of the mountain, the physical, and I still wonder, can he resume the assault on Jack Nicklaus's majors number? I don't know if he gets there, but over the last 11 years, could he really think that as each year went by that he was going to get a chance to take another shot at that? I can't imagine that he was thinking that way. I think it was just, I just want to get back to where I'm pain-free and I can play golf again, I would think. So the fact that he does all of this is just crazy. I think it's the most extraordinary thing he's done.
It is, because you hear so many. Now I'm not knocking on a certain how people feel, but I know. So where I live in Orange County, a lot of kids deal with pressure to succeed, pressure from their parents, pressure in sports. And even in professional sports or collegiate sports, you hear guys they deal with all kinds of mental stuff because they have pressure. And which is valid. I went into a dark hole when I dealt with some stuff physically and emotionally in football. I was getting released. I was having surgeries left and right. I had 9 total surgeries, and really, really messed me up mentally and put me in a dark place. I don't know if Tiger went there or not, but for the simple fact that he found something in himself to continue. What is he, 43 right now? And that's right. to go win a master, to have that grit, to have that grind, to have, and this is for golf, for a team sport. I got 10 other guys out there with me to get this done. But to come back with all these up and coming rising stars who are just lighting it up, and for him to come in here and be like, nah, hold on, let me get this done real quick. Let me do this. I just think it's remarkable and just incredible. Just his mindset to go get that done. And it's interesting. I put a video up on Twitter a couple of weeks ago about Jordan and his mindset. And Bashar Salaam was asking him, have you ever been afraid of an opponent? And Jordan kept saying, never. Have you been? And he kept cutting him off, just saying, never, never, never. He said, because I know myself. And just like Charles said, I'm not worried about pressure from other people or pressure from other things. Yeah. I'm just focused on me, and if I put pressure on anything, I do put it on myself, and it's true. That's how the great ones stay great is their pressure on themselves, not from outside sources. I look at, people can say what they want about Floyd Mayweather, but I think all the things he does, maybe like the being arrogant, flashing money, talking trash, or what have you, he does that to put pressure on himself. Mm-hmm. It's hard. It's hard. That's why I respect it. I respect guys who continue to be great because it's very, very hard to do. Would I like to see Tom Brady win another Super Bowl? Yeah, I would. Why? Because it's hard. It's hard to do that. It's hard when you're getting everybody's best shot week in and week out your whole career, and you still find a way to get it done. Yeah. You do the same thing over and over. Yeah, you get Sean McVay, new innovator, offensive-minded guy, the new wave that's going around, all these young coaches that's getting hired, and you go there and get it done. You take out the Chiefs, you take out the Rams. I mean, it's crazy.
Speaking of being great, the NBA playoffs have started, and before we wrap this up...
Is it great, though?
Why?
You know how it is. It's just like Tiger not playing golf. LeBron's not in it.
Oh, really? So the upsets didn't do anything for you this weekend?
I like the Brooklyn upset because Jared Dudley's my guy.
Yeah,
and I love them just as a team. They have like the perfect energy from veterans to young guys that gets everything. They're able to have this kind of energy and aura that maximizes everything from every player, and that's what's so cool about us. I wouldn't be surprised if they end up going pretty far. Believe it or not.
I believe that they can win this series. I don't know how far they go, but I fully believe that they're capable of knocking off Philadelphia. It's just a bad matchup for Philadelphia.
It is.
Especially with Embiid not being 100%. But the individual matchup that the Nets have, the fearlessness that they have, and the pressure that Philadelphia has on them. I mean, this is a Nets team that arguably kind of snuck into the playoffs. Philadelphia is supposed to be the culmination of trust the process.
Right.
And they're
like
LeBron's
gone out. LeBron's not in the East. So
yes.
Here we go.
Yes, exactly. They're supposed to be, climbing right now. And I think they have some inherent flaws, and the Nets can play loose and free, and they can play a style that Philadelphia really isn't comfortable playing. They have so many different guys they can go to for one-on-one matchups.
Right.
And beat their guy in a one-on-one setup that then forces Philadelphia to adjust and recover, and then it opens up other guys. And then you got guys like Joe Harris who can knock it down. I looked Orlando was the other team that had the day one upset.
Right, over Toronto. And I look at those two teams, and the one similarity is that they both had an all-star, first-time all-star, in Nikola Vucevic for Orlando and D'Angelo Russell for Brooklyn. And the truth is that you could have had like 3 or 4 different guys who could have been their all-star. Like the difference between their all-star and the other really good players is kind of negligible. In fact, if Karis LeVert doesn't get hurt, he's probably their all-star. D'Angelo steps into the breach and he ends up getting it. But I looked at the job that, Vucevic actually in the game against Toronto couldn't get anything done. DJ Augustine completely outplayed Kyle Lowry. Speaking of which, so at one point, Kyle Lowry took a charge. Right. And he took a knee to, I don't know if it was the jewels or the abdomen, but it was like it got him good. And I honestly believe he ended up not scoring in the game, going like 0 for 7. I believe he never quite
recovered from that. He played, but
he was just there.
I don't know whether you've ever had that experience where you've gotten either your bell rung or your jewels racked or whatever it might be, and you were out there and you were playing, but you were just holding on. You were just, I'm gonna play and hope that at some point this subsides. But when you look back at the game, you go, man, I got through it. But
rightfully so. I got my bell rung for real, and I was concussed. This is before they had the real protocols where you didn't come back in a game. But just to go back to the Brooklyn Philly game, just harp again once again how much of a team. I mean, their bench came through tremendous.
Set a record.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Set a record for points scored by a bench. Yeah.
And other than like Jimmy Butler, I feel like Brooklyn feels comfortable because there isn't a legit scorer that will come after. Jimmy can't win the game by himself.
No, and you know what's funny is, and this is what I've often thought, is that, and the media always looks at it, and I know I'm part of the media, but too much of the media looks at it and says, oh, well, Jimmy Butler didn't get any help. And I'm looking at it going,
who said that?
No, I mean, I don't know that anybody said it in this instance, but a lot of times,
no one performed well. Right?
Yes, a guy will score big, and I'm just using him as an example. I'm not saying that there was specific in this instance, but a lot of times a guy will score a lot, and nobody else will score, or they won't score enough, and the team loses, and everybody goes, oh, if only he'd had some help. I'm like, no, let's take a closer look at how that guy was scoring. If a guy scores that big, and especially if his team gets run, it's one thing if it's a close game. But if your team gets, and Brooklyn, for wherever the score ended up, they got up, and they were never really, once they got up, they were never really threatened. They kept Philly at bay. And I look at that as evidence that, dude, your scoring isn't, like, it sounds funny, but in some ways it's hindering the team because we're not getting enough guys involved.
Right. He had 1 3.
Yeah.
The whole team had 3 threes total.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead and keep driving to the basket all you want.
And not creating, like, not getting anything for anybody else, because that's the thing, is that some teams will take that approach. Oh, we'll let you. They do it with LeBron.
They do it with Harden sometimes. They want him to drive.
We'll let you score. Like, we're not going to let you score, but we'll let it be all about you. But we're not letting anybody else get off. Right. I was actually going back to Don Nelson, who I covered when I first started covering the league. He used to do this, is that he would do it that way, and then when it got about halfway through the fourth quarter, if the game was still manageable, still close, then he would start doubling the guy that they've let score and shoot or take the shots all game long, because he figured everybody else is cold. They've gone three and a half quarters without taking a shot. Let's see now if they can get going in time. And all you need are like a couple empty possessions, and that can turn the game for you.
You been hanging out with Don lately, huh?
I have not. Nelly and I. It's funny because I've been thinking about writing a book about the fall, the long fall, the rise, and what I think is going to be another fall here of the Warriors and all I've seen. And Nelly is one of the few guys in my entire career that we had our differences. But I wonder now, and especially if I'm doing this book, I'd love to catch up with him and like say, hey, remember when I came in as a rookie and I came into your office and I introduced myself and I said, look, I'll be a straight shooter with you. I'm never going to have a hidden agenda. All I ask is that you don't purposely send me the wrong way if I ask you a question. I know you might not be able to answer it, but just don't purposely mislead me. And, I probably talked longer than I should have. And Nelly, when I was done, Nelly goes, well, if I got to lie to you, I'm going to lie to you. And I just went, okay, we've set the parameters. And then Chris Webber came into town, and I got to know C. Webb and that team, and I knew early on that Nelly and C. Webb didn't see eye to eye. And I ended up breaking a lot of stories around that, and ended up Nelly was sent on his way after he sent C. Webb on his way. But it was like, dude, you set the ground rules. This isn't the way I wanted the relationship to be, but
Right.
I couldn't. You basically said to me, I can't trust anything that you tell me. So that gives me the wherewithal never to take your word and to always double check. And if somebody else is telling me something else, then I'm more inclined to believe that because you told me you'd lie to me.
He won't remember right now anyway, but
he may not because he's been living the good life on Maui. That's for damn sure.
Him and Willie.
Yeah, him and Willie and my man from White Man Can't Jump.
Woody?
Yeah, Woody Harrelson.
Woody's out there?
Yeah. He's part of their poker crew.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Doing the Wowie Maui. All right. We are joined by a special guest, one Mr. Charles Woodson. Where can they follow you, Charles? I know they can see you on ESPN. What's your handle on Twitter or social media if you're doing that?
Well, no longer ESPN. I'm out at ESPN, so I'm a free agent,
Is
so
that
to
right?
speak. Yeah, I'm a free agent, man. So, but you can follow me at Charles Woodson, and that's that's Twitter and Instagram. That's where you can find me at.
So I have to ask because I didn't see an announcement. Did you, Will? Did you know this?
Well, I had no idea. No.
So, if you don't mind us asking, like, what? I thought you were good. In fact, among the array of guys that they had, I thought you were one of the better ones. I'm a little surprised. You caught me off guard with this.
Well, you and me both. I was a little bit caught off guard. That I wasn't going to be brought back. I made an announcement about I guess it would be 3 or 4 weeks ago now. That I wasn't going to be coming back.
Okay.
Again, to me it was a surprise. That they didn't want to bring me back for the show again. But it is what it is. Their decision. It's one of those things where it's kind of like the NFL, man. You never know from one day to the next what's going to happen.
Yep.
What's going on, but you just got to move forward and keep on moving. And so I'll keep moving, and I'll land on my feet somewhere else.
Oh, believe me, I've been in the media business long enough to know that very thing. By the way, I should let you know, Charles, that before you came on, Will was telling me that he's feeling dangerously fantastic.
Hey, listen, Charles, listen, bro. Listen.
Hey, but hold on, though. What's that in reference to? Dangerously fantastic in regards to doing what?
Yeah.
Listen, what happened was, usually, so I've been doing my post-football workouts, right? I'll do 30 minutes on the cardio, a couple biceps, right? Little abs. So today,
No leg work.
You're doing that old man workout.
That's right.
No legs.
Just the upper body. Yep.
But listen, today I trained.
Okay.
And I felt dangerous.
Okay. But let's put that in perspective, though. Like, what does that mean? Danger? Or you feel dangerous to be able to play like a series, half? I mean, what are we talking? How dangerous?
I'm talking about the whole season. I'm talking about 60, 70 snaps a game. Dangerous right now.
Wow.
Yeah, as in I got 15 GMs in my phone, and they might get a cold call. Dangerous.
Hey, so my next question is, that's after one workout?
I know. Let's talk about this in the morning. I got to recover first. Let me recover.
Because I got to figure. We all got to figure this out. After one workout, you feeling like 70 snaps a game?
Listen, I might.
Yeah, I don't know. Will might be a little ambitious.
I might not get out of bed till 10 o'clock tomorrow, so I don't know yet.
Yeah.
Hey, so
no
listen.
doubt.
So you watched the Masters Day, right?
Oh man, did I? Wow.
Crazy, right?
Wow. That was special, man. I think for anybody who's a fan of Tiger, like myself, I think so many people, you started really paying attention to golf when Tiger, stepped on the scene. And I think, even the guys that were playing with Tiger today, throughout the whole tournament, these are guys that looked up to him, and a lot of those guys got into the game of golf because of Tiger. And, you know what he's gone through over the period of, 8-9 years. And for people who are fans who are pulling for him to see him pull this out, man, and get his 15th major, man, today was a special day, man. I enjoyed every minute of the tournament, and it was great to me, the fact that most of the major players in the game, the big names, the DJs, Phil was in it up to a point. The young guys like Shoffley and Molinari, he made his charge. Like all of the names, like were in it to the end, man. I think that made it even more special to watch it be so competitive. But then watch the old Tiger come through in the end, man. I loved every minute of it.
I don't think it's probably like 90. I would say about 98%, maybe more, cannot go through what Tiger did and come back from something like that. I know so many guys who would just give up. You know what I mean? Dealing with all the drama and nonsense that he dealt with, and was still able to find the resiliency to come through and make it happen. I think probably, if not, that might be just the greatest comeback story in probably sports history. One of that I can think of off the top of my head.
Well, not even what he went through physically. You know what I mean? Like,
no, I ain't talking about
physical thing. No. Listen what I'm saying. Just think about the physical things that he had to go through, the surgery, the injuries, the back. That's one thing to go through. But then to hear a lot of people are affected by the negative energy and the negative talk, all of the negative things that people say about him. A lot of times that is what gets the best of people. They can't take the fact that, people are on them constantly, and their name is always in the paper or always in the news, and they never recover from that. I think sometimes the emotional effects are the things that get to you. It's not the physical. Most of us, you get an injury, you can come back from it. You'll figure it out.
Exactly.
But when you have all of the negative energy around you, that's what affects you. And he was able to fight off all of that. And, end of the year on a good note last year, winning a tournament at the end of the year, and then to come back, man, and to be able to put that green jacket on again. I mean, for any sports fan, to be around to witness that, man, it was a great day for anybody who's a fan of sport.
Charles, he said something interesting the other day about that he doesn't feel pressure, and that the day that he feels pressure is the day that he quits. Now, I find that interesting just because of every athlete I know, every person I know feels pressure at various times. They may not give into it. They may not allow it to overwhelm them or intimidate them. But I don't. What did you make, if you heard that comment? What did you make of that? Because I find it interesting. I'm not sure what he means by that, because it's hard for me to believe that he has never, looked at a 12-foot putt to win a major and not felt something.
Well, I think there's two types of pressure. I think there's that pressure you put on yourself and the pressure that other people put on you. And so I would say when he's saying that he's never felt pressure, he doesn't feel pressure from what other people feel.
Yeah.
For him, it's all about him. It's all about what he's going to do. It's all about his preparation. It's all about, the time and the effort and the countless hours of time that he's put into his craft. He's already defied the pressure. He's already won against the pressure because he's already prepared himself for that moment. Yeah. So for everyone else to put pressure on him, that don't mean nothing. You don't know what he's done. You don't know what time he gets up in the morning to start his day to in order to be a 15-time major champion.
Yeah.
The pressure, he's already beat that.
Yeah.
So I think that, to me, I think that is really what he's getting at, is the fact that he's prepared himself so diligently for the moment, for each putt, whether it's a 12-foot putt. There was a 50-foot putt that he tried today, and I mean, it was perfect speed. He didn't make it. I think he ended up maybe, a few inches away from the hole, but he's prepared for that moment. Like, he studied that putt, and one of the commentators was like, man, he's he's not setting up and studying this putt to get close. Like, he's actually trying to make that putt.
Yeah.
And
Right,
he
he
almost
almost
made that. He almost made that putt. Like, the thing is, for me, is for the three of us right now on this phone, that's pressure for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying?
Sure. Sure.
We just want to
For
get
him,
close.
we trying to get close, man. We're trying not to blow that thing 10 feet by the hole. But Tiger's trying to make it. You know, that's what he means, man. And that's where the great ones, you know, that's where they excel above everybody else, because they've already put the pressure behind them as far as individually. Now, what we think about is that ain't nothing. They don't care about. Tiger ain't setting up for a putt thinking about us three on the phone right now. He don't care about us.
All right. Since our conversation with Charles went so long and was so good, we decided to break it up into 2 podcasts. So in the next podcast, Charles and will share Al Harris stories, and we'll also find out just what it means for him, both good and bad, that the team that drafted him, the team that saw him retire, the Oakland Raiders, is now going to be in Las Vegas. All right, that does it for this episode. As always, thanks for listening.